So essential supplementation. Let's get into that. Categories of nutrients that need to be considered for supplementation first. This is first. This is your foundational stuff. Due to today's conventional food growth and processing practices, what we just talked about, are essential supplementation. That's essential supplements. Core supplementation. This is the very center of what you must look at supplementing first. I don't care what you've read anywhere. The body tells us what it needs. Because in physiology, we can look at the human body and we can point out it's fact, no one can deny what an essential nutrient is. So as far as what I've seen in results for patients and clients, when you meet the essential needs of the body first, you get the best results, opposed to taking some pile of vitamin C over here and trying to add vitamin E over here and then trying to grab vitamin A over here. Let's look at what core supplementation is. It should consist of the essential nutrients which must be taken in. Proteins. We talked about this in Lesson 2. Proteins have a class. There's a class of proteins or amino acids that are essential. And you can go back and you can read Lesson 2 if you want to get a refresher on the scientific names for what those nutrients are. We don't necessarily need to go through those. I think you've got that. Okay? But most of your essential amino acids, the amino acids that your body cannot synthesize on its own, you can get in perfect balance through meat, dairy, and egg sources. And they are most bioavailable in those sources. Yes, you can find essential amino acids in vegetable sources or in legume sources. You can find them, kind of a smattering of them throughout the vegetable world, or the wheat world, or the grain world. But you will never find them in the same profile as you do in meat, dairy, and egg sources, and they are never as bioavailable or as usable to your body as they are in meat, dairy, and egg sources. Through our research, through our reading, this is the conclusion that we have come to. If you want to come to a different one, start doing your research. Start looking out there, and you will find that, and this is after years and years of reading, you just cannot find essential amino acids like you can in those products. Okay? So getting the adequate amount of essential amino acids in without those is difficult. And you have to be wildly intentional about it. If you're choosing a vegan or a vegetarian type of lifestyle, you have to be so intentional on the foods that you eat, and you have to eat a lot of them in the right balance to make sure that you maintain health. Okay? So we really don't usually need to look at essential amino acid supplements, but we will talk about, if you do, what the right ones are. So consider the source. If you are going to look at essential amino acids, you need to make sure that the protein or the amino acids are undenatured. These are being called native. But the point of this is to make sure that the protein, the amino acid itself, is not damaged in the processing. Remember how we talked about food changes in processing? Same thing with an amino acid supplement or with a protein supplement. Most protein supplements on the market today are byproducts of other food manufacturing. They're heated, they're pressurized, and they are denatured. They are damaged when they get done with them. But just like in food, we try to maximize everything that we're doing as far as dollars go. So we put denatured protein in bottles, and we call it protein supplements. All protein supplements are not created equal. And you need to make sure that the ones that you're consuming, if you're looking at them, and it could be a convenience tool that you're looking at it for too. Like I use a protein shake in the morning, and I make sure that the protein that I take in is not damaged in the processing of making it. Balance in nature as it is in your body, that's another big thing. In your body, you have a very specific balance of amino acids. And again, if you're looking to supplement amino acids, you want to supplement with a complete amino acid, one that has the essentials. So this is why we like whey as a protein source because whey comes from milk, and it contains all 20 of those amino acids. And that's exactly what the third point is supplementing with a complete source. So there's a look at your body. Protein. Remember what protein does? Everything that's structural in your body, protein makes up all of it. Protein is a part of everything that's structural. So it's vital to everything. It's vital to enzyme production, hormone production, all of it. All right, let's move on to lipids. Lipids, otherwise known as fats in the diet. Does everyone remember in Lesson 2 how we talked about how important fats were? And even though just saying the word fat almost conjures up immediate negative feelings because you've been programmed through your TV and your radio to believe that fat is bad for you. We have already gone through how important fat is to the functioning of your body, and that most of you, the health goals that you have, fat meets those needs. So usually the thing that you're most afraid of is the thing that's going to solve your problem. It's going to give your body the tools and resources it needs to fix itself. So when we want to talk about what fats we want to supplement with, we must look at, again, what does the body tell us about essential fats? Which fats can it not assimilate or synthesize on its own? What fats have to be taken in by the diet? Those are the only fats you should be concerned about supplementing, ever. So right here, linoleic acid, otherwise known as LA, which is an omega-6 fatty acid, and alpha-linolenic acid, omega-3. All other fatty acids are derived from these two main sources. So EPA, DHA, GLA, all of those different kinds of fatty acids all are made in your body from these two parent sources. And your body cannot synthesize these on its own. It can't make LA or ALA. So when we look at fatty acids, only 8% or less, and it's normally between 1 to 5%, of the parent form of omegas are converted into any type of derivative. Okay, hold on now. So we're talking about these essential nutrients, and when you take it into your body does not convert those two parents down very often. A very, very small portion of these parent lipids, these essential fatty acids, only a very small amount of them are actually turned into a different type of fatty acid for use in the body. Now, this is where a lot of you have heard all kinds of different stuff, all kinds of different propaganda from all the different types of industries. Let me try to touch on it real quick because it's pretty simple. The main thing that we heard in the clinical side of things when people were trying to convince us that fish oil was the best possible supplement that you could take, it was because the body can't make enough EPA and DHA for what it needs. This was the constant argument that was coming out of the research that was being done. The problem with that thought process is you are immediately assuming that the body is somehow broken or unable to do something instead of asking what the body wants. And when we look at essential fatty acids, the body doesn't want more than that. It's making a small amount of derivatives for a reason. It's not because EPA and DHA aren't important. They obviously have importance in the body. They're present. Can we give it that? If it's present, obviously it's got a job. But if the body's only making a certain amount of it, and when you look at the biology of a cell, you don't find a bunch of EPA and DHA in a cell. You find these, ALA and LA. You find these parents in the cells. So if your body can't synthesize it, but yet you need it to produce cells and to enhance cellular function, these are the only two that you ever need to be concerned about when you're supplementing with fatty acids, or you're taking an EFA supplement. So consider the source when it comes to the fatty acids. Remember when we talked about sourcing of food? Fatty acids are absolutely 100% important when it comes to the source, because fatty acids are the most compromised nutritional factor in our food supply today. Anyone ever heard of trans fats? Hydrogenated oils? Everyone's talking about how trans fats are so bad for you. This is the one consensus there is in science about fat. This is the one thing everyone agrees on, that an artificially or a chemically hydrogenated fat molecule will absolutely 100% contribute to arterial damage and heart disease. There is no doubt about that. We have complete consensus on that. But if you take a fatty acid, an ALA or an LA fatty acid, and you process it down, they turn those fatty acids into trans fats. They take a whole fat like this and they change the molecular structure of it. They change the bonds on the actual molecule. They actually twist so that the atom bonds are on opposite sides of each other instead of double bonded right next to each other like they're supposed to be. So what do you think happens when a twisted fat molecule gets into a cell? It is not good news. And that is why trans fats have been proven over and over again to be damaging to the human body. Because when we chemically hydrogenate these oils, it changes everything. Okay? So consider the source and realize again that fatty acids make up a huge part of your body. So the sourcing is going to be getting your fatty acids from organically grown and organically derived oils. Okay? When we're talking about sourcing here, the actual process of pulling these oils out of plants is important as well. Because most of the cooking oils or the vegetable oils that are on the market today are chemically separated from their original source, from the nut or the plant that they're taken out of. And you have got to know if the fatty acid that you're supplementing, you have got to know how it came out of that seed or that plant. You've got to know that. And if it's not organic, you can almost guarantee that that seed or plant was grown with herbicides, pesticides, and fungicides that are going to be in your supplement. We have to consider where these sources come from. Okay? So, and this is another thing that you need to know as well. The number one supplement in the country is fish oil. And fish oil does not provide you with any of essential fatty acids. Can you believe that? The number one supplement on the planet, and most of you are probably on a fish oil supplement because you've been told by your cardiologist that you need to take it, or you've been told by your doctor that you need to take it. The problem with fish oil is it's not meeting the essential needs of your body. There's only two essential needs when it comes to fatty acids, and LA and ALA are it. It's that simple. There's no reason why you would want to supplement the derivatives that the body can make on its own. Let the body do its own thing. That usually gets us the best results, opposed to trying to impose our will on the body because we think we're smarter and be putting in high amounts of these derivatives that your body would never make in the first place. In an observational study where fish oil, high amounts of EPA and DHA were given to study participants, there was no significant increase in EPA and DHA in their tissues. Do you know what that means? They were being given high amounts of EPA and DHA daily. And after 30 days, they were being tested in their tissues. It didn't increase their EPA and DHA levels at all. What's the only obvious explanation for that? Out. Not needed, gone. Toast. You need to look at the parent sources because the body will break down the parent and make whatever it needs to. Those two are the main ones. So these supplements, as I said before, always need to be made from organic sources, from whole food sources. These are the vegetable-sourced fatty acids. These are where you get your LA and your ALA. This list right here. Okay? And again, the reason we want them to be organic is because we want them to be low in oxygenation. We want to be low in damage. The level, the reading that they do on those, the testing they do is called peroxidase levels. And peroxidase is created when there's high levels of damage in the fat. Okay? All right, so let's do this real quick. Let's take a quick break. We'll absorb what we just learned. Let's get some breathing in. Whether you like this part or not, believe me, it's very important. Take in some deep breaths. Think a little bit about how what you're learning today affects your life from this point forward. All right, one last deep breath and then go ahead and have a seat. As I've done a lot of reading in the literature and things like this, you tend to kind of move away from common sense and be so stuck on the data and the observations and all of this. I'm not quite sure where we got so off track as to think that the fat from a fish would be so vital to our body. When's the last time y'all lived a year in water? Or more than a year. Fish have different physiological needs than human beings. The reason that they have such high levels of EPA and DHA in their body is because they need thin blood. And when you take those types of supplements, it thins your blood. It's one of the things, if you look at the side effects of the only pharmaceutical or prescription omega-3 fish oil that's on the marketplace today, one of the side effects, it talks about bleeding. You need thin blood if you're in cold water. And I can promise most of you, at least as far as I know, you're not living the same life as a fish. Get your oils from the land. That's what physiology tells us we need. All right?